Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the SR Design International Challenge for the Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Tonight, we will turn right and left at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. My name is David Westergreen this evening, and I will be joined, as always, by our producer, David Huckleberry, and my co-announcer, Zach Evans. And Zach, I am extremely unfamiliar with this track. I know it's an F1 circuit, but you have at least, I believe, raced it or called it. Take me through your expectations for this twisty and curvy road track here in the Netherlands.
Definitely going to be a challenge for these Cup Series competitors. Lots of very tricky low-speed corners that are really giving these drivers fits. That, as we've seen in practice, I think we're going to see plenty of excitement as far as just drivers trying to manage these tight, twisty corners and up and down the hills of Circuit Zandvoort all evening long.
Yeah, this track is extremely windy, and I kind of think while we watch these drivers qualify, why don't we hop on board with somebody and just kind of take a lap with them at this track and get you guys familiar with them as well as us up here in the booth. And Zach, why don't you walk us through Blake Reynolds' qualifying lap?
So right now, of course, as you said, looking at Blake Reynolds going down the front stretch down into turn number 1, Tarzan, hairpin, right-hander, sets you up for a little bit of a double kink here before you go into one of the two corners that were completely reconfigured about 5 years ago in advance of the Dutch Grand Prix, returning to Zandvoort. There you see the high banked, about 18 degrees of banking there in turn 3. Then you go through this twisty high-speed section, blind corners. This particular corner kind of a little bit of a blind apex, and then it's back down the hill through turn 7. That sets you up for a little bit of a run to turn 8. Get down through the gears, right-hander, then even sharper right-hander at turn 9 before it spits you almost immediately into a long sweeping left-hand turn number 10. As you see Blake Reynolds making his way through turn 10 now. Then back up through the gears before they approach this chicane that by the end of the race is going to look like a rallycross track with all the gravel that will be spit back onto the racing surface. You'll see him hard right and then basically hairpin left nearly. And then that begins to drive. This is where you want to carry as much speed as possible through the fastest part of the track. You'll check up some here for 13, and then you really want to be on the hammer here all the way through another one of these high bank corners as part of the reconfiguration of this circuit, and carry as much speed as you can out of that corner down the front stretch to give yourself the best chance to execute and overtake into turn 1.
Yeah, looking at this, obviously you've got those very signature banked corners, right? Turn 3, turn 14, got the really high banking. I think that looks very cool. At least from my perspective. Where do you think are going to be the best passing zones for these Elite Cup Series drivers? Obviously, with this next-gen car, it's difficult to pass, but not impossible. You mentioned turn 1. Where else could we see some guys maybe making some of those bonsai moves?
Definitely turn 1 is going to be your best opportunity because if you're able to execute turn 14, right? Otherwise, it's honestly very difficult to pass on this track, and you're almost going to be relying on drivers to make mistakes around you. Maybe in turn 3 you can set something up, but otherwise you're really going to be challenged to execute a clean pass on this circuit. Right here is turn 3. Jesse Racimus make his way around it. You're going to see guys basically in that green runoff area trying to get as high as they can through turn 3 because of that banking. You don't want to stick to the inside. You don't want to cut that apex. You want to be able to use as much of that banking, as much of that arc as possible, and guys are going to be way up in the corner there to carry as much speed as they can up the hill.
A question of mine, right? If these guys are side by side rolling through turn 3 and ultimately turn 14, is that going to be a problem for those cars on the bottom of the racetrack cutting, up the racetrack? Could we see some incidents, I think, on corner exit of that steeply banked turn 3?
We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, didn't see a whole lot of that in practice. My gut feeling is that on cold tires, it's going to be very tricky. Maybe once we get 10 or 15 laps into a run, get some heat into the tires, then you might be able to go side by side. Turn 3, sure. Turn 14. I mean, that's just such a max commitment corner. I think you just really need almost all the racing room you can get to get through it. Outside of cooperation from maybe a lap car trying to let somebody by, I don't think it's got to be an ideal place to run side by side, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. At least for me, for for what we're watching out for is Jesse finishes off his qualifying lap in style, entering turn 1, and we flip to Chad Frankenfield here. But a unique tracks, a unique experience, I think, for you, for me, for this whole group, and looking ahead towards this race, Dave, if you've got the race details, we can note that we do have a stage caution going to be occurring at lap 10. That is when we'll award a playoff point for that stage winner. We'll give points from 10 to first, or 10th to first, 10 points to first, 1 point to 10th. We'll have 3 sets of tires in the pits. I don't know that anybody's even going to change tires. The fall off is just not a whole lot. And with this next gen car, that's kind of been its signature for a couple of years. And we've seen guys play with taking 2 tires, taking no tires. The benefit will be there, but with such a short race and with that stage caution, I just don't know what the tire strategy will be. We'll have to find out. We'll talk about it over the course of this race. For now, let's set the starting lineup. On pole, with no surprise, the 4D Raceware pole winner is Ethan Stanley. Tyler Fode will be lining up to his outside, his teammate, both from the Lake Norman Motorsports stable. Blake Reynolds will start in 3rd for Channel 199 Sim Racing. David Tooker will start in 4th for Pro Edge. Lake Norman teammates Justin Wadsworth and Scott Crump will roll from row 3. Then it's Tate Lytle and Ray Bracey going from row 4. William White and Ryan Gable will start in row 5, and Gavin Hibbs and Chad Frankenfield will start in row 6.
The 7th row consists of Jess Story and Ryan Schold. After that, you have Ethan Burrell lining up 15th. Jesse Racimus will start in the 16th position. Leighton Norgard qualifying 17th. Jordan Owens will be to his outside at the start of this one. And then your 10th row, Paul Mikolajczyk and Corey Abbott. Row 11, Cale Pocock, Justin Vandermarl, and then row 12, Gerald Campbell, Justin Fortner.
Yeah, you're going to start row 13 with Nick Massey, and he'll be alongside Seth Rawls. Gavin Higgins will start in row 14 alongside Trey Holmes. Row 15 will be Dustin Dewar and Garrison Hogan. Then it'll be row 15, Josh Personette and Michael Hosack. Row 16, Mark Rabilas and Harrison Talon. Row 17, Brett Jones and Johnny Thomas, a noted road course hater. As we look at row 18, that'll be Josh Adams and Ty McIntosh and Carlos Acosta, feeling a little bit ill tonight. He's rounding out the field in 39th. That may be a start and park situation from driver 02.
Ty McIntosh, Carlos Acosta not setting qualifying times. I think you're probably right about Carlos. Unfortunately, under the weather, could be an early exit this evening, but we'll keep an eye on that situation. Who knows? Maybe this will be Carlos's flu game for all we know.
Yeah, he had a very good run at Daytona in the Xfinity Series on Monday nights, the Rabilas Photo Xfinity Series, did Carlos Acosta. So I would hit the channel button after this race. Go take a look at that one. Fun race to follow. Race picks. As we wrap around this Zandvoort circuit, I'm thinking it's obviously Ethan Stanley. Zach, can anybody challenge what has been the road course ace of Elite for the last couple of seasons?
Oh, man. Look, anything can happen, right? But A, he's won the last 3 Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series road course races. B, in nearly every, whether it was our unofficial practice session last night, obviously the hour of practice leading into tonight's event, or qualifying, it's been a challenge for anybody to be within a second of Ethan Stanley on the time. In qualifying, Ethan Stanley 138.609. Tyler Fode on the front row with a 139.2. I mean, that's a half second that even Tyler Fode has to find on a lap-by-lap basis to challenge Ethan Stanley. Never mind everybody else. So certainly we'll see. The strategy could, shake things up depending on if we do get one of those manual yellows, especially in our second stage. My understanding is if we don't get a caution in that second stage, you can't run all 35 laps on a tank of fuel. So we'll see if anybody tries to stretch it and tries to prove us wrong, or if it comes down to maybe a strategy play.
Right, and that could certainly unravel Ethan Stanley's chances. Obviously, on your ticker to the left side of the screen, the pylon there shows Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fode in orange. That is because they have won the first 2 races of the season, with Stanley taking our Daytona 500 and then Tyler Fode winning last week at Kentucky. As we roll through turns 11 and 12, and these guys getting one last look at that portion of the track without the gravel all over it, we'll see how this one shakes out, see if anybody can challenge Ethan Stanley, if the stage breaks and the potential for manual yellows alters anything in this race with this next-gen car on a road course that it is not typically raced on. Through the 13th turn, Stanley will bring us to the green. The pace car gets ready to head down pit road, and it will unleash this field at Circuit Zandvoort for the SR Design International Challenge. There we go. Pace car is off. The field heading towards the F1 start grid. And we are racing at Circuit Zandvoort. Ethan Stanley on the loud pedal first, and he's got a big jump over the rest of the field into turn 1.
Watch these cars funnel down into turn 1. Blake Reynolds sticking it to the inside of Tyler Fode, trying to get into that second position, and he will indeed take that second spot through turn 1.
And David Tooker trying to grab 4th from Scott Crump. Justin Wadsworth falls to 6th. They hit that big banked turn 3 for the first time today. Tooker able to clear Scott Crump. And they work their way back there. Ryan Gable able to jump up ahead of Ray Bracey just behind. Bracey now battling with William White for that 9th spot. That's a spot where you don't really want to be side by side. Oh, Bracey and White turn sideways. Gavin Hibbs off the track, Bracey off the track, Jess Story trying to go off the track, everybody trying to recover, but it's William White who ends up spun out. Or Ray Bracey in the quick shifts. Number 7, South Shore Ford, unable to, I think he might have hit the grass a little bit and it just cut the car to the right. We'll have to take a look on the replay.
We will take a look here. That's my suspicion based on what happened before they made contact. I didn't see the initial.
It looked like
I don't know if he was. Yeah, it's hard to say if he maybe clipped the grass. Either way, the net result is Ray Bracey's car definitely comes to the right there, and there just isn't the space there between William White and Gavin Hibbs for him to occupy, and he ends up hooking William White in the left rear, sending him spearing off into the gravel. And Gavin Hibbs gets a little bit collected as well, certainly not to the same extent as William White, but he tries to squeeze around the outside and catches the left rear of that number 7 Ford.
Yeah. A lot of carnage there on lap 1. I also got a report Justin Fortner has wrecked it. Might have to take a look at that. As we get back to live action, here's the replay on the Fortner incident going into turn 11 on lap 1. And he overbrakes it and heads through the gravel, and that's going to dump a bunch of gravel up onto the racetrack here. Maybe not.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. It just catches up in the tires the way they've got this thing modeled now. White trying to climb back through the field. Up front, it is Ethan Stanley, then Blake Reynolds, Tyler Fode, David Tooker, and Scott Crump, the top 5. The big losers in all that, William White down 26 spots to 35th. Bracey down 12 spots to 20th.
And it's worth noting it may... Go ahead.
No, this is Gavin Hibbs also lost 5 spots in the kerfuffle there.
Sure, and it may be worth knowing. Even though there is not a caution for that incident, certainly there is the possibility if Ethan Reasoner, our race control this evening, deems it appropriate for a penalty to be doled out on that incident. We'll see if we get an update on that or not.
Typically, those are for severe damage, and while William White definitely didn't want to see that, I don't know that that would have merited severe damage, but we've got a spinner.
Yep, he's behind the Zandvoort sign, but Jess Story has gone around on the exit of turn 14 and is now trying to back up without backing into anyone. We'll get a look on the Revelist Photography replay machine, and I think this is just a simple case of just steps out on him on corner exit, noses into that inside, well, right-hand side retaining wall. Not a massive amount of damage, but obviously put him in a precarious spot here where he doesn't want to back into the oncoming traffic, but needs to clear himself of that wall so he can continue on.
Yep, Jess Story already in a bit of an eventful night. He was off track on lap 1, spun it there early on, and now he's battling Josh Adams. Another one around in front. That's Justin Fortner again. Oh, and Story and Adams have wrecked as well. Adams is into the Armco to the left there. That wasn't a great set of corners.
No, so we'll start with seeing what happened to Justin Fortner here. I saw him around, but I didn't see what started it.
Oh!
Steps out. That banking has really just upset.
Oh, and there's Josh Adams and Jess Story. I've also got report Chad Frankenfield's gone off the track.
He is around in turn 3, but okay.
I think Chad's going to have several incidents here. Early in this race, it has been a...
Oh, maybe it was there. Okay.
And then Jesse got into Chad hard there. And I've got Jesse off track as well. There's a lot going on right now.
Jesse has had a separate incident in 14, I believe.
We have been in the Mark Ribbles photo instant replay machine basically the entirety of today's race. Yeah, there's the incident for Jesse. He and Jordan Owens together. Paul Mikolajczyk involved in this. Gavin Hibbs slides by. Norgard loses a couple of spots. Looks like everybody's going to make it through okay. Racimus getting turned there by Jordan Owens in the 16 car. Another replay as we go. This is back to the Chad incident.
Oh, that is the second road course race in a row. I don't know if this one will get penalized, but definitely the second road course race in a row where Chad Frankenfield has short-circuited the brain when it came to rejoining after an incident.
Yeah, you just have to be more careful, and we've talked about the rejoining. I think. Oh my goodness, another one's off the track. It's Justin Vandermarl. We can't keep up, and we're probably missing several incidents that are occurring. Vandermarl just took a detour through the gravel. He rejoins a little bit dangerously, but he doesn't make any contact with those guys.
You would like to see a better rejoin there, but no harm, no foul.
I do want to talk about kind of the elite rejoins as we look on at it again.
How dare you try to talk about anything right now?
It's a good point. This group, it's I think it's elite wide, right? We have a lot of series in this league. You've got ARCA, Trucks, Xfinity Cup, and IndyCar all running this under this banner. And what we see is an awful lot of, I'll call them rejoin incidents, or when these drivers are very aggressive with trying to maintain track position, it's just difficult to pass pretty much across every series. And a lot of guys are just try to throttle it up in the middle of a wreck, get going really quickly, and don't really try to take care of the drivers around them. And I don't want to point any fingers or anything. Michael Hosak has gone around in that trouble spot, turn 3 at the big banking. Look at that. Looks just like Justin Fortner's incident. Identical.
Oh, yeah. I think that's... I hadn't heard a lot of conversation about talking to guys before the race, but that was really something I expected to be a trouble spot with this next-gen car. We know, I mean, we talk about it on a nearly weekly basis, even at tracks like Iowa or Homestead, the tracks with the progressive banking, right? The car just does not like those transitions if you catch them the wrong way. Well, all Turn 3 and Turn 14R for a car, especially set up in a road course format, is a massive transition. So I figured corner exit, those two corners in particular, would be really troublesome this evening, and certainly Turn 3 in particular. That has been the case. Now, I'm going to jump on a different wagon here as we watch this battle for third shaping up between Tyler Fode and David Hooker. One thing to keep in mind as we are closing in on that lap 10 mark, will we see guys pit? Now, pit's closed at the end of lap 8, or the pit entry closes, I should say. But will there be any drivers who choose to pit and then elect to stay out when the caution comes out and try to gain track position? We see that in real life on the road course races. I'm curious to see. I imagine a lot of guys will take advantage of that opportunity, but at the same time, you got to be careful if you're one of those guys who has been in an incident that you don't lose a lap doing it. I think the opportunity is very limited who can do that. And
same problem.
Hey, look.
Same problem for Nick Massey.
Same thing we've seen a couple of times here in Turn 3. As poor Huck is putting in fast forward to make sure we don't miss any more incidents.
It's worth noting that in our discussions with drivers this week, the Turn 3 concern was basically the main one presented to me. It was the big banking and just snaps loose. And we've already seen it, 4 times in this race, guys just struggling with that spot. It's a part of it, I would wager, is a little bit of aggression, but a part of it is almost certainly going to be these guys struggling with that. What's the steer, the rack and pinion steering, the way this next gen car is set up. It does not like those types of corners, right? It's just very weight shifty, and all of a sudden the looseness isn't manageable. It's something that just snaps around on you and you just lose it. So, these guys are going to have to manage that. They're going to have to be careful with that. Blake Reynolds has been off the track from second. We'll see if that impacts him. He had a pretty big lead on Tyler Fode as we see Ray Bracey overtake Gerald Campbell for that 14th position. Go up to the lead.
Replay. I didn't see this one. Oh, is that Blake Reynolds?
It is Blake Reynolds who went around. Looks exactly, and that's a former Coke Series pro.
Yep.
That having the same trouble, right? It's not. I would wager it's a tracking car combo type of issue here. Here's an incident for Ryan Scholden. What do you know? He's going into Turn 3.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah. Right, just zips right around. Fode and Reynolds are battling for that third spot, or that second spot right now. They are a very distant, several seconds behind, 11 seconds behind Ethan Stanley in just 7 laps.
Which, to be fair to Blake Reynolds, and now he's in the gravel. I was going to say he had managed to open up enough of a gap on Fode that it didn't cost him second position with that first incident, but now he's got to limit the damage, right? Now he's got this train of cars behind him. He's got to settle down, get those tires calm back down, and try to hang on to this position for the next 2 or 3 laps and get those stage points. Tate Lytle is ducking onto pit road.
Tate Lytle going for the pit stop strategy that you mentioned. The pits will obviously be closed when Ethan Stanley hits the line after this lap. So Tate, about the only driver who's going to be able to make this strategy call unless someone behind him pulls in. But I'm not seeing anyone make that move right now. It's just Tate Lytle going down pit road and trying to kind of short pit this stage, stay out, get a little bit of that track position, maybe get in front of some of those guys that he's racing. Here are a couple more going for it. It'll be Garrison Hogan and Chad Frankenfield heading down pit road. This is Garrison's first race of the season. All these guys will be staying out once the stage caution drops there at lap number 10. They'll be getting in front of Ethan Stanley, who has, an 11, 12-second lead. So that may not matter, but it may put Ethan Stanley in a spot where something chaotic could happen. And that's what you mentioned before the race, Zach, about how he could potentially lose this race. It's not something of his own doing, but it would be something of other drivers doing, and the strategy ending up taking him out of it.
I'm constantly surprised to not see more guys in the Chad Frankenfield type position make that call to try and get out front. You're probably not going to win the race with that move.
Sinet with another scary rejoin.
Yeah.
After spinning there in turn 3.
Backed up right into the driving line.
Yeah, it's not a move that might win you the race, but it's going to maybe get you better than, 20-something or whatever Chad had been running after his incident. Tate Lytle surprised me because he gives up a couple of stage points by pitting, unless he's able to race his way back into that top 10, which I don't think is going to be in the cards. I'm not sure where he's
24th.
Yeah. Speaking of stage points, this is a battle for 9th and 10th. So both of these guys are in the top 10 at the moment, but there is a point to battle for here for Gavin Hibbs in that 95 car as they're going to negotiate around Josh Adams exiting the pits. Now they'll be well clear of him.
Hibbs, a guy that we talked to last week, felt like he might have a little bit of speed. I'm a little surprised Gavin Hibbs didn't go for that off-cycle strategy that Chad and Tate are on. That's a guy that I felt like could, if you gave him some track position, he could probably run times in the top 5.
Right. And I think that's kind of, for Tate and Chad, that could work in their favor. That, again, I don't know that anybody has Ethan Stanley speed, but if they are able to get track position on somebody like a Justin Wadsworth, Ryan Gable, these guys in the back half of the top 5, can they just be enough of a nuisance to hold them off? I think it's entirely possible.
Right. And, it's tough to pass in this next gen car. You're seeing it right here with Gavin Hibbs working off Ryan Schold. There's, Ethan Stanley's coming to the white flag of the stage here. So there's a little bit of time. Stanley's going to take the line here, but next time by the stage will go, we will go back and we will go under yellow once Ethan Stanley crosses the line. So, that battle between Gavin Hibbs and Ryan Schold ultimately just over that 1 point, but it's still valuable for a guy like Gavin Hibbs who's had a pretty rough start to the season and he needs every point he can get. Oh, that's not one we've seen so far.
That's a different way to crash in turn 3.
Harrison Talent finding the different way to crash isn't surprising, but that type of crash is. I feel like we saw Ty McIntosh rejoining. Feel like this is, exactly the one we've seen a number of times so far.
What was it he told us before the race? He was not feeling Bonita?
Bonita, yes. Bonita. There's Marco Biles. That's later than others have done it, but yeah, same issue. The Bonita comment comes from that Family Guy meme. I believe it's Chris asking Brian if he feels Bonita.
I'm going to take your word on that.
So I feel Bonita.
You could tell me it's from The Sound of Music, and I believe you right now.
Ethan Stanley's got a 12-second lead over Blake Reynolds, coming to the conclusion of stage 1 here in the SR Designs International Challenge. It's been a no contest. Stanley just has the road course juice, but he'll have to restart not in first here, as the caution will wave. Stanley will come to the stage here, and we will re-rack things, get everything gathered up, and hit pit road, and we'll come back for the restart after the stage break. Don't go anywhere, and we're going to run some ads here while these guys all catch up to the pace car.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked. NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
We are back with a split pit call. Ethan Stanley, Tyler Fode, and others have stayed on the racetrack, thwarting the attempt of some of those guys to short pit for the stage, short pit the stage. Looks like Ethan Burrell, one of the drivers, on pit road. Ryan Schold on pit road. Blake Reynolds dropped to pit road from second in that stage. As we take a look at the race off pit road, the field definitely split up via strategy here. There are about 11 cars that stayed on the racetrack and have not pitted at all. And then you have three drivers that pitted in, before the stage ended. And then I think Blake Reynolds is going to restart 15th or 16th here.
So it looks like Ryan Schold took fuel only on that pit stop, and then after that, then you have Blake Reynolds, who did take tires, and then beyond that, I'm sure you saw a mix of strategy. But that's how Ryan Schold was able to kind of leapfrog to the front of the group of drivers who chose to pit here. That still got put him, it looks like, about 15th for this restart, as you said.
And, let me rehash the stage as well, obviously, because we did award points there. Ethan Stanley won the stage, as we saw. Blake Reynolds finished second. Tyler Fode third. David Tucker earned fourth place stage points. Scott Crump earned fifth place stage points. Justin Wadsworth was sixth. Brian Gavel was seventh. Ethan Burrell was eighth. Ryan Schold ninth. And Gavin Hibbs rounded out your top 10 for the stage points. As you look at the top 10 now, it's a lot of those guys. They are going to run that single, as Paul Mikolajczyk has crashed in that 57, and it looks awfully familiar.
Well,
a lot of these guys anticipating now splitting this race into a true one stop, but that does mean there would be no chance of them making it to the end from here. But I think there's very little chance that Blake Reynolds is going to make it to the end anyway. So ultimately, I like the call by these guys to stay out. They stay ahead of the mess. Ethan Stanley's going to keep that track position right up at the front of this field. He's going to stay ahead of anybody who could potentially challenge him. And, some of these guys move up, right? I mean, you look back through the top 10, some of these guys have some real speed. Gavin Hibbs, Ray Bracey, they qualified up there and near the top 10. Those guys are certainly going to be able to stay up there. The question now becomes, what does that tire advantage look like for Blake Reynolds and for those cars there, as we do get a tally for Chad Frankenfield on that lap 3 incident in turn 11, presumably for the bad rejoin.
I would assume it's for
the contact.
So you can make the mistake of spinning out here in the Elite Racing League and not end up with any sort of penalty. But if you rejoin and cause some damage to another driver, then that does proc race control to give you the penalty.
I think the bigger thing to watch for as we get ready for this restart, those guys who did take tires, they're going to be on cold tires. We've already seen how tricky turn 3 can be. Everybody's all bunched up. Let's hope to get through it together and not in too much pain.
Yep, race control could very well throw that yellow flag if we get some sort of multi-car incident. The pace car is off. Green flag back in the air. Ethan Stanley on the loud pedal. Then you've got his teammates lined up behind him there. 4 of them. All trying to pass by David Tooker and get up into this top group. Stanley out to the lead, Fody to second, and then everybody else streams through turn 1 and heads for turn 2.
Oh, we've got one. That's Gerald Campbell around in the run up to turn 3.
Gerald's okay. He stopped on the track, but that's fine. Jordan
And now we've
Owens
got
is around.
Yeah, this is it going into 3. They've all kind of started going again, but Gerald
Personette around.
Oh,
The yellow flag
and
is
now the
out.
clock
Big
has
crash.
displayed,
Yep.
And we're going to get a look at.
I'm sure this wreck is all continuous.
Yeah, they just never.
Yeah, they're
got
wrecking
it
up ahead.
back up. Yeah.
Here it is. Ty McIntosh, Josh Personette, Owens into the back of Adams, Brent Jones. They're still wrecking. That's Carlos Acosta around. I think that's right as the yellow flag came out. Gerald, I think, is going to get crashed once again. My goodness. And that's why those guys stayed on the racetrack.
Now, how did Gerald manage to crash twice? Body.
Man. You know, I would. If you didn't, I would have. You know, it's...
And Carlos is like, surely everyone's gone by now, and all of a sudden here comes,
Here
what
comes
is the
Gerald.
Eagle's name?
Donald
the Eagle. Speaking of Carlos, almost had it missed, and then just ends up on the grass, and
Bonk. Yeah.
bonk.
So wacky restart. Ultimately
Now.
worked out nicely for those drivers that stayed out. I believe they can make it from here.
Well, I feel confident the people who pitted can. I'm not sure. I don't know about the people that stayed out, because, I mean, if you're Ethan Stanley, you haven't been on pit road. You stretch a little bit. You don't stretch 10 laps.
Right. I don't think.
Oh, no. But that's great for somebody like Blake Reynolds.
Right. Blake Reynolds is in great shape right here. You know, if I'm. Obviously, you don't want, as they do give the tally to Josh Personette for the start of this wreck. You don't want to. Let's take a look at the start of this wreck first before I make this point about fuel saving. And it's Personette getting loose, going around. He collects Fortner, he collects Ty, and then that creates that stack up that ultimately draws the yellow. Oh. Anyway, the point for fuel. Ethan, if I'm Ethan Stanley, right, you are fast enough to get through this field pretty quickly, right? If you can make it to the end and not have to pit here and not have to save fuel, I find it difficult to imagine that you're going to build a big enough of a lead for someone like Blake Reynolds to on someone like Blake Reynolds to be able to pit and then come back out and try and make up that time again. Or even get a big enough lead that you can pit and not lose that lead to Blake Reynolds. But if you're chasing him down and you're both driving through traffic, I feel like Stanley's faster. And if he's able to run hard the rest of the race, that probably puts him in the driver's seat. But on board with Carlos through this wreck as we it's just not hard to see for Carlos there. They are heading towards pit road right here. They're through turn 11 or turn 12 rather. I'm very curious about the pitch cycle strategy for this front 9 plus Cale Pocock that have stayed out.
I am equally curious.
It's a tough spot.
I feel like I don't know. We'll see. Ethan
Here they
Stanley's better than I am.
You're right. He if whatever Ethan Stanley does, that's the one. That's the choice that I believe is the right one.
Well, I thought the right one was to pit 4 laps ago, but
yeah, because then you'd be all. This was likely to happen.
I feel like you'd be good right now. Yeah,
Right.
That was 100%. I figured if we were gonna get caution, it was gonna be right there, and that was gonna get you in the fuel window. And
yeah, and now they're coming down pit road, and you're gonna see Blake Reynolds hang a left and stay out right here, I believe. Not as many are staying out as I thought. I think some guys are gonna come down and just get a top off.
maybe you couldn't make it because I think Blake Reynolds did.
Blake is down pit road.
Blake
Ethan
is down
Burrell.
pit road. Brandon Jones down pit road. Yeah,
Ethan
so
Burrell
maybe,
has stayed out. So
maybe it wasn't. I thought for sure that would have got you into the window, but maybe not.
So Fody took tires. Stanley went fuel only. So you see, there comes Tyler Fody, David Tooker, Justin Wadsworth. They're off pit road now. I feel like tires was not the move. You probably should have just taken fuel only here. But I mean, you know, it's going to be wild.
It's gotta be something.
This is certainly shaking up the field. The second caution flag, this unplanned caution flag that we have encountered. Ethan Burrell has taken over the race lead. Ethan Stanley will not lead every single lap in this race. Michael Hosack has also stayed out. He will be restarting second. Burrell and Hosack going to try to make it. Then you've got Ethan Stanley, Jess Story going to be restarting in fourth. Josh Adams is up there in fifth. He has had some issues as Josh Adams, and that's not a guy. That's a guy who does not like the road courses particularly a lot. So I somewhat question whether he's going to be able to hold his own up here. Scott Crump there in sixth, Blake Reynolds seventh, Chad Frankenfield eighth. So Gavin Hibbs will be ninth, Tate Lytle restarting 10th. Then you got William White and Cale Pocock, Justin Wadsworth and Tyler Fody. I think Cale Pocock needs to be in the other lane here. Maybe not.
All right, let's squeeze in an ad read before this race restarts.
Good call, because we got some time.
Okay, that's me. All right, let's
Yes.
do Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg Marketing, rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. This is, of course, the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar, sports commentary via podcasts, forums, and articles on topics ranging to nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out on X or bellyupsports.com. And our race sponsor tonight is SR Designs. I believe that's Seth Rawls. Seth did not send us something to read, but Seth is part of this race and it does a lot of great stuff for the race. And I believe he's going to sponsor all the races that are on international tracks. So I believe that's the international challenge aspect of it. And that's our sponsor reads for tonight, guys.
Terrific stuff.
Seth currently running there in 21st on this restart. He's the black and blue car there on that bottom lane. Up front, it'll be Ethan Burrell and Michael Hosack on that front row, as I mentioned before. We'll see if they could hold off the hard-charging drivers of Ethan Stanley, Scott Crump, Blake Reynolds, and Chad Frankenfield. Pace car is off. Burrell heads towards the restart zone. Green flag back out. We are racing again here for the SR Designs International Challenge. Ethan Stanley off to a really good start as well. And he jumps to the top. Scott Crump's going to take a 3 wide. That's going to be a wreck.
It might not be. Somehow it wasn't.
We're still 3 wide through a very difficult section of this track to navigate.
Oh, Tyler Fody's around.
Fate's going to go around too. So's Jess Story. This might be another wreck. Story's just sitting in the middle of the track.
Cale Pocock just went around outside the frame there. Gerald Campbell. Oh.
Caution's out. That's what I was afraid of. You had Tyler Fody around.
I'm going to make an editorial comment that may get me in trouble with the bosses, but I'll take my chances here. For a long time, we didn't have a caution for the stage break at road courses. And then we brought it back. And then we had a race at Monza. I don't know if you remember that race, David.
I do not.
It went a lot like this right here, where we had the caution and then we restarted and we couldn't restart because people kept wrecking in Monza's case, the first turn chicane that every sim racer knows and fears. And we're kind of shaping up in that direction here, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe we don't need a caution for the stage break.
Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps. Doesn't seem to have helped the racing product.
No,
Personal opinion.
It's not.
Send complaints to Zach at EliteRacingNetwork.com. That's not a real email address.
Justin Wadsworth did get involved in the Cale Pocock incident, then Gerald slammed head on into Cale. Yeah, I think I'm with you there. You know, you've got a very good. Oh, geez, they were still wrecking Ray's off the track here. He managed to hold on to it.
Poor
Paul
Huck's computer
drove
was
around
gone
him.
for dear life with the grass and smoke flying everywhere.
So, you know, like you mentioned, right? This isn't probably super necessary, I would say. You know, you've got
Still a car ahead.
that is on Ray's car every way, or every series, but we don't do it in any other tracks, right? We don't send out the stage caution. And I feel like that really improves our product as opposed to real life NASCAR. You don't have the downtime of a yellow flag. You don't have the the races unfold naturally, right? And in some cases, the race ends up kind of boring. Ethan Stanley walks away with it. You know what? That's okay. If Ethan Stanley's that much faster than everybody else, he deserves to walk away and win himself a nice, easy race. I'll always stand on that. Now, you know, if you want action, right? You do want to throw a yellow flag. Well, in that case, in my mind, leave iRacing caution flags on, right? Like let iRacing determine what a caution flag is. But because
you can't do that on a road course.
Yeah, and the road courses, it'd be too much, right? But at the very least,
No, it's literally not.
it'll be a.
iRacing does not throw yellow flags on road courses, is what I'm saying. That's not.
Oh well, that'll work. Then they don't need it. Then there doesn't need to be one. How about that? There you go. How about that? That's where we arrive. Then there don't need to be a yellow for the stage caution. That's where I arrive because now we're blocking the track 3 different times.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyhow, now that I've gotten us both fired,
They can't fire us, I'm afraid. We're safe.
they can do anything they want.
I'd be really lonely.
Dave would get mad.
Dave's always mad. That's fine.
It's a secret cap. He's always angry.
Thank you. I put it up on the tee for you, and you didn't let me down.
That's right.
Oh, man. So, yeah. I definitely think that everybody should really, really, really be good on fuel now.
Yeah, I don't think fuel's a concern anymore.
I think we're good at that at this juncture.
At this point, the question is, can we get in, a lap of racing?
Can we get back to green flag racing is the more important question.
Right.
At this point in proceedings. Hopefully. And I'm curious because I know there was some discussion before the race. We're going to wait and find out together here.
Oh boy.
I don't see anyone on pit road. Oh, there's one car on pit road, but I don't know if that's as...
That's Cale Pocock, who was involved in that last wreck.
Pocock. So are they going to send us one to green here, give him more time to fix that automobile is the question.
They probably should.
Somebody else is coming down pit road as well.
Nick Massey, Jess Story.
So I think we're going to have 2 more caution laps here is what it looks like.
Yep. Should we throw it to another ad read here? We'll let you guys check out our awesome sponsors, and then we'll come back for the restart.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to WWTRaceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Circuit Zandvoort from the Netherlands, where we work our third caution flag of the day. The pace car is about to pull off and let this field loose once again. Ethan Burrell will be restarting as the race leader. He'll be alongside Ethan Stanley. Then it's Josh Adams, Scott Crump, and Blake Reynolds, the top 5. See if this field can make it past that third corner. Once again here as the pace car does duck to pit road, and Burrell heads for that restart zone where he will put the pedal down and get us going again. Green flag is out. Tire spin in the middle of the pack. That was Blake Reynolds out of shape. Gavin Hibbs went to his inside. Here comes Scott Crump. Crump bounced it off the inside wall.
Somehow that didn't end in disaster. Yeah.
He made it stick. Crump able to go around Ethan Stanley. He's working hard against his probably much faster Lake Norman Racing team.
Adams
Adams around. Hibbs up the
He's out of the way. Are they able to keep out of trouble?
They're still spinning in front of them. There's a
Bracey is around. Chad Frankenfield is around.
Fortner's around.
Caution.
3 spinners, but nothing catastrophic. Race control elects to keep us under green. Ethan Burrell still leads. Stanley did get around Scott Crump up near the front of the field. Crump now under fire from Gavin Hibbs, and here comes Blake Reynolds on the inside. That's a risky move by Blake Reynolds. He pulled it off. Crump able to give him a little bit of room. Now here comes Reynolds to the bottom on Gavin Hibbs. Boy, they're working that long chicane before this big long straightaway. Reynolds able to pull it off. He jumps to third. Big moves by Blake Reynolds.
Man, really throwing the elbows out there, and it's paid off for him. He's able to stretch out this gap before they get to the chicane, and now Blake Reynolds can try to chase down those front 2.
Yep, Ethan Stanley going to work to try and get around Ethan Burrell when he can. Here's a replay of the Chad Frankenfield incident. Adams went around on his own in front of Chad, but Chad got into that low banked corner and it sent him around. And then you see Bracey get spun in there, got into Johnny Thomas. Justin Fortner hit the wall. Big shunt, but that was all it was. Is Ethan Stanley now back after Ethan Burrell for the race lead? Burrell going to try and attack, but I don't think there's going to be much of a defense here against that 91 car.
No, I think this is where Ethan Stanley's got to pull out front, and this may be a formality at this point.
That 91 did not take tires, fuel only on that that pit stop that he made, and restarted third, didn't have the race lead, but it's pretty much fine. He's back out front here with 25 laps to go. Mark Rabilas going around for, I believe, the second time.
Well, the good news is we've made it through a lap. So hopefully, I say that, and then we see some close racing there between William White and Michael Hosack. That is for the 9th position. William White, after everything he's been through tonight, being in the top 10 before halfway, I'm sure he's not happy about it, but hopefully he will be once the red mist subsides.
Got spun lap 1 there, did William White, but he's been able to recover very nicely. As here's near the rear of the field, a battle for, missed this one, 23rd. Johnny Thomas is 23rd, and then right behind him is Jesse Racimus and Corey Abbott. Had to throw out Corey Abbott Kachow there, and so to Jesse Racimus in this Do Good Motorsports Chevrolet. Jesse was involved in that early incident with Chad Frankenfield. He hasn't recovered quite as well as William White, but he's putting together a solid run.
"25 laps to go." I almost had a mild panic attack on my screen as I saw a vehicle stopped. It was not a racing vehicle. It was a safety truck. It's always stopped. It always sits there. Oh, a little bit of tire smoke just ahead of this, but I don't think there was an incident. I think that was just some lockup from maybe Ryan Schold. Couldn't tell for sure.
Garrison Hogan goes underneath Leighton Norgard. Seth Rawls going to try to follow him through. Schold underneath Gavin Higgins just in front of this battle. And you've got 3 sets of side-by-side racing. It's Schold and Higgins up front of this group. Then it's Trey Holmes and Garrison Hogan side by side, and Seth Rawls does clear by a Leighton Norgard just behind. And Schold and Higgins get it sorted out before the chicane, and so too do the Higgins and Hogan car, or Holmes and Hogan cars, but it's a Leighton Norgard on the outside of during the chicane. He loses 2 more spots.
So here is Josh Adams and Ray Bracey. Adams loops.
Yep. We've seen that out of Adams. Adams is him, Johnny Thomas, they agree on road courses, not fans.
He held his brakes until he had a break.
Yeah, that was a good rejoin by Josh Adams. We do commend that. Up here in the booth. Looking back at Tyler Fode. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. Nope. We're picking up the same page of the program here. Tyler Fode has driven his way up to I believe that's the 18th.
17th.
17th. He's moving.
Yep. That's, he got spun out in that 3rd caution flag, the big incident there, and it was kind of an afterthought on our end. We noted it, but that was it. It's a big moment, right? Tyler Fode won last week's race, fighting Ethan Stanley for the points lead. It's a pretty big battle as Cale Pocock misses turn 1, has to flip it around, gets the wall, but another safe rejoin. Look at him waiting for the last car to go through before rejoining. That's a good rejoin by Cale Pocock. And we've got another one.
He wrecked a little bit later.
Oh, he did it again.
22 seconds later, he
Oh boy.
And
Oh,
after this,
Kale.
we're gonna have- unfortunately, I know at least one more replay coming if it triggered on Dave's end. I just saw it on my side. Johnny Thomas, maybe? Is he next on the prize? Oh, no, we got Carlos Acosta. Stay tuned for the Johnny Thomas action. Whoop.
Johnny
Little
did tell
innocent
me.
slide there.
Johnny did tell me that he was
Here, Johnny.
noted road course hater. Is Johnny Thomas? I'll call him that every time we go into the road course. There he is in the barriers, hating the road course. You can practically see the smoke coming out of both sides of the cockpit there. He towed. Oh, he towed. We might get to talk to Johnny Thomas. Johnny did tell me that when he wrecked, and it was a when, not an if, he would be hitting the infield care center. We do have a driver in the infield care center. It's Carlos Acosta, though. It's not Johnny Thomas.
Well,
let's talk to Carlos Acosta.
Yeah.
Carlos, David in the booth. We heard you were a little under the weather tonight. How you feeling, and what happened out there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not doing the best today. This whole week I've actually not been feeling too good, but still came out, well practiced, and did a lot better in this track than I expected to, since I've never been at this track before, and I was holding my own there until I got tight. One of those turns with Ty behind me, and he just scooted on by, and I thought, okay, well, that's it. He's gonna go by, and then like 8 other cars passed me, and then I realized, oh, I've been doing a good job just staying ahead of some of these guys. And then I looped it, and I think my internal temperatures are too high right now for me to continue, so I'm just gonna park it and get some rest.
All right, buddy. Well, feel better. Take care, and hopefully you can keep it out of the wall next week. But we certainly won't begrudge you, because a lot of guys are struggling with this racetrack tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I somehow find the wall next week, it'll be weird because we're not racing.
Good point. 2 weeks
I've been
at the
told
Brickyard.
Westergreen missed.
But
I'll see you guys.
have a good night, buddy.
Good luck on the rest of the broadcast. Say hi to Johnny for me.
We appreciate it. We will. This driver 02, Carlos Acosta. And now for the interview we've been waiting for since pretty much the beginning of the race, when Johnny told me he would be coming to us from the infield care center. Johnny, I've called you the noted road course hater for the entirety of the broadcast tonight. Take us through your night here and why you hate this track so much.
Why I hate road courses so much. I lasted. How many laps are we into the race? Because that's how long. That's so many laps that I thought that I wouldn't last. You know, I don't know how many. If it's 30 laps into the race or 20 laps, I don't know how many laps I've done, but it's more than I thought I would. So, yeah, man, I don't want to bash it too much, so I'm not. You know, there's a lot of people that really like road course racing. I have my opinions on where road course racing belongs, and I think it belongs on touring cars and IMSA style events and leagues. But you know, I don't mind every once in a while going to a road course for a stock car race for elite. But man, we go to these tracks that Cup Series or NASCAR in general doesn't run, and I thought it's supposed to be a similar to a NASCAR series, but we're going who knows where. I don't even know where I'm at. I just bought this track. But I'm having trouble from a league standpoint. Who does this benefit? What does it accomplish? The same guys who are very successful that are winning races in the ovals are doing the same at road courses. And you know, if we had road ringers where, you know, they weren't successful on the ovals, then that would be something else. But it's the same guys that are successful in both ways, so it's not really benefiting anybody besides the guys that are already really, really fast, which is fine. Their craft is amazing, but you know, there's a big deficit between first and basically 6th or 7th, and then on back.
A 10-4 on that, buddy. And you know, any I guess you know, not additional thought, any sponsor shout outs or anything you want to give us here before we send you off tonight?
Yeah, you guys have a race to call. Just Belly Up Sports putting up with the show this year and sponsoring the Cup Series. But we'll be back. I'm gonna have a little bit of a hiatus here for a couple of weeks with the baby on the way, so you might not see me for a couple weeks.
Well, congrats on that, man, and you know, good luck with first kid or second
That's right.
kid or
Yep,
first kid. Well, good luck with fatherhood, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. See you guys.
See you, Johnny. Baby on the way for Johnny Thomas. Good luck to him and
So that
his
kickoff might
family
be
on
well
that.
timed.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
missing one. Yeah, or he gets one. He gets one back. Is what I would suppose the deal is there. But good for Johnny. I noted that a Leighton Norgard did go off track, lost several spots. Not sure if we have replay on that one, Dave. See if we can't find out what happened to driver of the 12 car. And what do you know?
Yeah. There is
Poor
that.
Jesse.
Yeah, he's
He's-
been around everything tonight, and it's not really been his doing.
No, it really hasn't. He's just kind of been in the wrong spot at the wrong time a bunch. And here's another one, Marco Bilas. In the chicane in turn 11, he goes and hits the gravel, puts a bunch of it in the racing groove, and gets going okay. So, oh, there's another one.
But wait, there's more.
Donald the Eagle is going to have a ride here. Oh, up the track, bonking off the turn 3 wall. It's not been a great day for Gerald Campbell, but he's another one. Him and Josh Adams and Johnny Thomas are all, I believe, feeling about the same. And yeah, what do you think about Johnny's kind of statement? And I would agree with him to some extent that, yeah, you know, the road course racing, especially in this league, it benefits the same people who are fast everywhere. And it's kind of how it is nowadays in real NASCAR too, right? Is this next gen car is really good on the road courses, but it's really even. And so anyone with some true road course chops just can't really express themselves in a car that just kind of runs like a sports car, basically, right?
I mean, yeah. I think it's a challenging position to be in when you run a league, because I do think there's a merit to running some of the non-NASCAR road courses. It would get pretty dull if we ran Watkins Glen every season, if we ran Sonoma every season. You need a little bit of that variety. It's never very popular when that variety takes the form of these international road courses, because they're at that point it's not even like, at least with, let's just call it what it is. This is naturally a NASCAR series. Most of the drivers here are Americans, so even if they aren't racing a track like Lime Rock Park or Road America or Laguna Seca in a NASCAR league, they have at least turned laps in it somewhere. Oh, there went Garrison Hogan around.
Yep, Hogan, 55 car around. He's going to spin it back around. Hopefully that doesn't result in further incident. He dove it in really deep on Gavin Higgins and hit the curb, and that loops the 55 car. So I'm curious on this rejoin. You know, he spun it back around right in the racing line. Dusty Dewar, Corey Abbott have to take evasive action to get around him. And yeah, I don't know about that one.
Well, there wasn't any contact, so I think there won't be any penalty, but it certainly cost Corey Abbott the spot to Ray Bracey there, as Bracey was able to, had a little more time to react and gained the spot as a result.
Right.
But to the other point, yeah, I think it's tough when you get, because it absolutely rewards the road course guys who maybe have turned laps at Zandvoort, because for a lot of these guys, they didn't even own the track before this race. So at that point, not only is it a competitive disadvantage, but it's literally on a sim like iRacing, you're making guys spend $15 on a track they're never going to run again, right? So I think that's definitely where a lot of the complaints come from, and I definitely understand that point of view. I always enjoy the challenge personally, but that's not to say they're wrong for how they feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I would say, I would not say uniquely, but I definitely I feel the same as Johnny in that, you know, there are road courses that I do enjoy racing, right? That are not NASCAR-based road courses. I would say is I've had some fun. Oh, Gavin Hibbs, no! Hibbs loses it. He's going to lose 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Hibbs back to 7th in car 95. That turns over the podium slot to Scott Crump. He had been holding his own in that Chevrolet, but he'll turn it over to Lake Norman Motorsports number 90. To my point, there are non-NASCAR tracks, and for what it's worth, there are also NASCAR tracks that, you know, NASCAR's gone to a lot more road courses. I think the Chicago Street Course is actually a fantastic track that we could really probably have brought to this race, right? And a lot of guys would have had that track already. We've run it in a couple of other leagues. I don't know if we've run it in this one. We probably ran it the summer it came out in this Cup Series, but that would have been before I was full-time broadcasting again. And, you know, Coda's pretty good, right? It's a pretty good track, and they're presumably going to update it so that you have that shortened version. I feel like that's probably going to be a really fun track to run. You know, I like Montreal. Montreal's a track NASCAR's been on before. A lot of these guys would have run, as we are going to get an incident for Gavin Higgins in the 13 car. He's lost a couple of spots.
So,
you know, I just think there's... Go ahead.
As far as COTA goes, that shortened layout, that's not new for NASCAR. So I'm pretty sure, I'd have to double check, but it should already be in iRacing. That wouldn't require an update, because real sickos like me remember when the V8 supercars raced on that layout many years ago.
Right. Just either way, right? I've had some very, like, I've enjoyed racing COTA, and I'm, as I've mentioned, a noted road course hater. So you've got good tracks, right? And I've tried to provide a few of them. Zandvoort is just one where I've watched like one F1 race here. I don't have the experience to know what these guys are going through, and it's pretty apparent to me as Bracey and Higgins battle for, this is 20th spot. The car doesn't look to be under these guys. The same mistakes are getting made, to the point that I know these drivers. We've watched these drivers for years and years at this point. If they're all encountering the same problem, we know it's not the drivers. So
I think that the bigger challenge you run into with a race like this is, especially all of the elite racing leagues use fixed setups.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to a track that doesn't have a purpose-built setup from the iRacing staff, sometimes we run into issues with whether or not it's a good setup, or you're able to find a setup that works for a track like Zandvoort. And I would also say, just from the cost thing, again, you know, not to bring that up again, but it is a factor for a lot of these guys. This is a track they may not have even owned before this week. There are plenty of free international. Well, Josh Adams did
to the beach.
More than missed a corner there. There are lots of free, readily accessible, do not cost extra international road circuits and American racing circuits on iRacing that we could use as a compromise, in my opinion. There's no reason to go to Zandvoort when you can go to Navarra. And I know that name means nothing to you. I've raced there in the supercar. You could go to Winton. It's not a super fun track, but it would be an easy one to learn. Tsukuba has hosted a truck race here in Elite.
Higgins missed it again. But I'm with you, right? It doesn't really, to me, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right.
It's Lime Rock, right?
Of course, I will always. Lime Rock is all. Of course, every. If you have an iRacing subscription, you've turned a lap at Lime Rock. Like, it's probably my favorite road course on iRacing, and it's free.
Right.
And obviously, that's an American track, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think
it's on the Truck
international
Series schedule.
Right, that'll be cool. It's international isn't the issue, right? It's a paid international circuit that the Elite Racing League has gone to one time ever before now, where half or more of the drivers in the lobby are going to have to purchase it just for this race. That's where I have a bit of an issue. ultimately, right, I think Ethan Stanley dominates at any road course we go to, but I do think we could have put on slightly better shows at other better road courses than this one. I do like the banking corner, but obviously, like you mentioned, with the fixed setup and stuff, we're seeing guys struggle with that corner in particular, and it's making the racing there just particularly unfun to watch, because we're just, holding our breath waiting for somebody to spin out right in front of somebody else and cause a big wreck. So, my hope is that we see this and we try to lean towards if we're going to choose creative road courses to watch Ethan Stanley put out a 7-second lead on a Coke Series Pro on, let's choose a road course that's really fun to go to and watch, other guys race at. And potentially a free one that other guys already have, where we're not charging the league a bunch of money. Reynolds is making a little bit of time on Stanley, but yeah, go ahead.
Or we could do a 1,000 lap enduro at Concord Speedway. How do you like the sounds of that?
Don't give Chad any ideas.
No? No?
No. I think we'll be all right.
You don't like the sound of that? Somebody has turned around on my screen. I did not catch who it was, but I think it was a white and green car, and I think Dave has found it. It would not be the first time. Yep, that's about where I saw a white and green car parked. Yep.
That's probably the one. Yeah, that's probably it. Josh Adams has looped it once again. He has had several of those. He's also waiting for a safe rejoin. Take note, although Josh Adams is a lap down at this point, and those are not positions he's losing.
He's probably I don't know what a I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that was almost an unsafe gap even with the gap. He almost drove himself into the other wall. Just leave a little gravel there. That'll make it even easier for everybody else to negotiate turn 3. That'll fix it.
That'll fix it.
Look at
another
Ethan
replay.
Stanley go.
Oh,
wait, hold on. Oh, I think this is our rejoin again. Oh no,
we're back.
That's what we call in business a mispunch.
Kevin Higgins is on the board next to go a lap down to race leader Ethan Stanley, and with 13 laps to go, I tell you what, if you're out there, you're struggling, you're one of these guys, Gavin Higgins, Josh Adams, you're counting the laps, right? You're going, man, how many more we got? We got David Tucker off the track. He's lost a spot to Ethan Burrell. That's still Josh Adams.
David Tucker is not happy.
Ooh. We got Mark Urbilis first. Mark's going to the beach.
I think they're related is the problem.
Oh. Mark has held the brakes, and David Tucker has gone to the beach to get around Mark Urbilis.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Massey has crashed in the back of the field. Let's watch this from Tucker's perspective. Actually, I think we're live with Tucker here. It's 3 spots back of Crump. He's like 6th. There he comes. Oh, he saw it. He got on the binders, and that was not going to work.
Well, there's something that happened before this? Like, he's out well before.
I think he saw it and reacted.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, he's already sideways, but I think it's because he knew. I'm guessing Tate said, "Oh, car stopped," and
maybe
car stopped, and he went, "Oh," and tried to get on the brakes, and right when he did, he went over the curb. And
Mark couldn't do anything different there.
No. Here's Nick Massey, and I bet I know what the 48 car did. He's done this once before tonight.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times. Oh, Ray Bracey's around in turn 1.
Oh, dear. Got Personette off the track as well. This is...
Yeah, we got to work through the queue.
Oh.
Okay, now Ray's up.
All right, customer
Oh,
7,
man.
your order is ready.
Ray's offline way before the corner. What was going on there?
I think he
Oh,
was.
Chad.
What was
Yeah.
up before that though?
Oh, don't do that.
He stopped. Oh,
Uh,
I am quite curious why Ray was so far offline entering turn 1.
Hey, got time.
That we do. The top 10 has changed spots twice in the last 15 laps, and it's been Tooker and Burrell swapping back and forth after that slide. Is Ray blocking Chad?
I think that was just a extra defensive line and then a little bit of lockup, and now he's not even on the racing surface, and then he washes up into Chad, and really nothing good happened there.
No, none of that was good. We'll talk to Ray after the race to find out what the deal was with that one. William White's recovery drive going well. He's 12th. Ryan Schold just in front of him. Tyler Fode is about 6 seconds up the road. So Fode has really recovered nicely after getting spun. He is back up into the top 10. Just behind 2 of his teammates, Ryan Gable and Justin Wadsworth, running 8th and 9th respectively. There they are. They've just kind of been holding nose to tail. They're about a couple seconds, 2 seconds off the back of Gavin Hibbs, who's about a half second off the back of Ethan Burrell. Actually, Gavin's right up on Ethan Burrell now, so Hibbs is starting to come back after that near spin that cost him a podium slot. Coming to 10 laps to go.
No, yeah, we're almost to the end of this thing.
Tell you what, if Scott Crump gets a podium at a road course race, I think that might be a guy that's more excited to hop in the booth and talk to us than either of the front two. I'll tell you what.
I mean, especially when... Yeah, I mean, 15th in the 500, 30th last week at Kentucky. Scott Crump, one of several drivers who really needed a good run this week, and he might not have expected it, but definitely a sight for sore eyes, right? And I mean, you could say that for probably a couple of other guys here in this. I mean, Ethan Burrell did get the 6th place at Kentucky, but definitely not the Daytona 500 he wanted. Gavin Hibbs, I mean, my goodness, 39th at Daytona and 43rd at Kentucky. He's just got to be, stoked to be in the top 10 if he can stay there over these final few laps. So definitely much needed strong runs for some of these guys in the top 10.
Yeah, in terms of points, absolutely. But even, Scott is just a guy that does not like the road courses, right? I've mentioned Johnny, a couple of other guys that are just road course haters. Scott Crump often says, "Oh, I'm so bad at the road courses," and he'll go out and run top 10 at this place. And I'm over here like, Scott, I don't know what you're talking about. You're pretty good at these places, but he's going to be ecstatic if he can keep this level of a run up. I'll tell you what. Battle for this 8th spot starting to brew. Ryan Gable and Justin Wadsworth. It's also brewing up in front of them for 6th between Burrell and Hibbs. Tyler Fode's in the mirror, probably growing a little bit wider, a little bit closer, closing in on his 2 Lake Norman teammates here. Shot of him ripping through turn 14, heading for 9 laps to go. And we'll go on board with Tyler Fode for a lap here around Zandvoort.
There you see Fode going around turn 1, and then he'll be back up through the gears until that treacherous turn 3. Hopefully we won't give the old announcer jinx to Tyler Fode here.
Up the banking.
Yeah, it almost looked like Eldora instead of Zandvoort for a second there. Oh, there! Now we've got the telemetry, even better. Watching him go up the hill. Now it's back down the gears, down to 3rd. I bet he's got to drop. No, he'll probably stay in 3rd here for turn 8. Turn 9, now he'll drop to second. Stay in second through turn 10. You'll get some more speed back up, but then it'll probably be down to second for the chicane, I'd have to imagine. First gear is usually trouble in the stock cars, even at the road courses, no matter how slow you're going. That's usually wheel spin city on corner exit. So, yep, he'll keep second through the chicane, third, second for 13, and then up through the gears, third, fourth. Does he get to fifth before he gets to the exit? No. Now he'll grab fifth.
That was an instrumental. I mean, I love having the telemetry on this because you can just see how much work they're doing. But I would also describe the middle portion of this track as pretty uneventful for that gear shift, right? I mean, that's a lot of second for a long way, third for a long way. That doesn't provide for a lot of passing opportunities, and that's also, I would describe that as part of the reason a lot of these guys are a little disoriented with this track. What's the word I'm looking for? Disenthused. They're not happy about this track, and that's part of the reason why is it just a lot of the same gear, waiting to shift to the next one. If they want to do that, they can go to an oval like we will at the Brickyard in a couple of weeks.
Oh, huge lock up there from Gerald Campbell.
He didn't even make it. Donald is at the beach.
Some of our finest gravel now making its way back onto the racing surface.
Deposited freshly for Scott Crump and Tate Lytle to be roaring through right about now. There they go. Doesn't seem to have harmed either driver at all.
Brent Jones has also gone to the beach.
Cheers to Brent. I haven't said his name a whole lot today.
He probably liked it better that way.
Running 33rd, but I mean, Brent's another. I keep talking about these guys, just guys that don't love these road courses, man. Brent's just not. He's not a fan. Never has been.
Did we code our tower with guys who like the road course and guys who don't?
I think you could probably put the top 7, maybe the top 10 as guys who do, and then just everybody else as guys who don't. It's about how it would be, right?
Some sort of money. I was going to say, give a money purse for whoever doesn't like road courses but finishes the highest.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Well, then everyone will say, oh, I don't like road courses.
The liars.
Yeah, but we'll know. Oh, we'll know. Tate's going to, I think, give Scott a little bit of pressure here and try to force Scott into a mistake. But the one thing that Scott Crump's been really good at is at these road courses over the last couple of seasons is he's just really smooth. He doesn't seem to make a whole ton of mistakes, even under pressure. That's a good defining character. Oh, well, I had to go and open my big mouth. He heard me talking about him or something. Well, keep it on this battle, the battle for that podium slot between Tate Lytle and Scott Crump. 6 laps to go. Ethan Stanley's 25 seconds up the road here, so this is that battle for the podium spot. This is a passing opportunity for Tate Lytle. Here he comes.
Is it able to stick? Or can Scott get underneath?
He trying to. Side by side, down towards turn 2. Crump gets it back. Great move. Great crossover move by Scott Crump. Let Tate Lytle go in there a little bit deep. Crossed him over, jump back in front. And this battle's definitely not over. There's a lot of time left.
Watching the run down to turn 8. Tate Lytle still trying, and again, this is where it's just so hard to set up a pass like you talked about. Pretty much everything is in that second to third gear range. There's really no way to set up a pass, and Scott Crump taking some pretty defensive lines through this part of the racetrack as well. I imagine he's got to stick to the right-hand side going towards the chicane.
I got him in trouble last time.
Yeah.
He took those tire tracks right there that you see from someone else jumping off track. So Crump makes it through the chicane this time. Tate a little bit sideways. We'll see if the lapped car Gerald Campbell is going to present any problems to these two leaders. I don't believe so. Yeah, Gerald gets out of the way there.
Ugh.
Got out of the way pretty
Aggressively.
Pretty aggressively, yeah.
Oh, that would have made them feel any better. The way it looked like he was wrecking instead of getting out of the way. I don't know. But again, defensive line here into turn 1 for Scott Crump.
We saw that from Ray Bracey earlier, and it got him in trouble. Crump made it stick. Crump able to run that defensive line. We'll see if he can keep holding off this Tate Lytle car. 5 laps to go. Good turn 3 there for Scott Crump. Able to hold things up. David Tooker has looped it behind them. Out of 5th.
Oh, man.
So move Gavin Hibbs up. Move Ethan Burrell up. And with 5 laps to go, the guy running 5th makes that mistake that we haven't really seen out of many of the front runners. I don't know when Hibbs passed Burrell, but Gavin Hibbs back up into the top 5. A little space being created by Scott Crump here. Try and get away from Tate Lytle. Tate might be cooling his tires off for another run back at this 90 car.
Well, 5 laps is a decent amount of time, but I mean that gap has grown quite a bit here. So we'll see if a little bit. Somebody went off ahead of.
I think that's Gavin Higgins that's out in front.
Yeah.
Out in front of Scott Crump. Gavin Higgins, not to be confused with Gavin Hibbs, who's running 5th. I know their names are pretty similar. The old Gavin and H.I.
It's honestly a miracle we don't mess that up on a weekly basis.
I definitely
really don't have issues with that. I say that now, 2 weeks from now at the Brickyard 400. Excuse me, the Den Decor Depot Brickyard 400.
Speaking of issues.
Right. Yes. Oh, speaking of issues, Gerald Campbell almost hit the wall going into turn 1.
No. What?
He was trying to get out of the way of Tyler Fody and David Tooker and almost created a larger issue.
We'll just need Gerald to work on reducing his aggressiveness of getting out of the way.
Man, there were so many easier ways. Like, especially in turn 1, just go high. Let them go low. Right. And instead, he just cranked it to the right and almost put himself in the pit wall. And not to mention on the racing line.
A little risky. Gavin Hibbs trying to hold off Ethan Burrell for the 5th position here. Justin Wadsworth right behind trying to enter the battle. Last season's champion in that 6 car. Ryan Gable there in 8th. He and Wadsworth have exchanged spots. Gable falling back over the last couple of laps. And these two Pro Edge cars kind of unable to get after these Chevrolets. Tate Lytle's fallen a 1.5 seconds off of Scott Crump up ahead. And this one, it's not nearly that close anymore either. Here's another battle. This one's for 19th between Garrison Hogan and Justin Vandermarl. Corey Abbott looking on in the background with 3 laps to go. We've lost Josh Adams again, and he's resilient, that one. Yeah, we've seen that wreck a couple of times tonight. I think we've seen that wreck from this 22 car a couple of times tonight. Fierce Adams. Yeah, Adams has finally hopped out with 3 laps to go. He's acknowledged that not much reason in continuing on, and a somewhat disappointing start to the season for the 22 car. I don't envision it'll continue, but the road course certainly didn't help anything.
No, it did not. Oh wait, there's more.
Going back live.
Oh,
back to live.
Okay.
Nick Massey just in front of leader Ethan Stanley as he comes down for 2 to go. I envision Massey will try to give some room to Ethan Stanley coming off of turn 14. He will do so. 2 laps remaining in this race, the SR Designs International Challenge event from Zandvoort. Scott Crump has lost third. And he made... We'll have to get a replay of this one. 90 cars. Looks like going through the beach in the chicane.
Yep.
Man.
Honestly, did pretty well to keep that from being worse than it was. Obviously, he did lose the 3rd position, but no contact with anyone or anything.
It could have been worse for Scott Crump, but ultimately losing that 3rd spot, losing the podium slot, losing the interview slot, not what you're looking for. Trey Holmes off the track now.
He may not want to talk to us.
Yeah, maybe not.
That might be a blessing. He might be ready to, turn off the computer after this.
Battle between Seth Rawls and Michael Hosak. This is for 13th. Goes Rawls. Racimus also squeaks by Hosak. He'll grab 14th, and Hosak's back to 15th. Replay of the Trey Holmes incident. That's not a spot I've seen anyone spin out in.
No, that's a new one.
It's entering the big long back straightaway, and it kills his speed the entire back straightaway. White flag is up for Ethan Stanley.
And
He has
Ethan
dominated
Stanley
this race.
Ethan Stanley has a bunch of cars in front of him. I'm sure they're all got to do their best to make way here. It's not enough to...
Cale Pocock's off the track in front of him.
Oh, and that's what I'm worried about. Okay, well that helped dissipate the traffic some. It just kind of...
Oh, there's another one.
Oh, that's... Yeah, this is not going to be an easy last lap, I'm afraid, for Ethan Stanley. Brent Jones gets out of the way. Now he has a little bit of clean track, but... Man, that had to be a little nerve-wracking. You'd hate to have this race go away from you on the last lap with some of this traffic he is encountering. Closing in on Trey Holmes.
Yep, Trey and Dustin Dewar, the 2 cars in front of Ethan Stanley right here. But I think he's working it pretty well. As long as these guys in front of him don't make any mistakes, he should be fine to bring it home. Through turn 10, he'll head towards turn 11 and that chicane that's caused other guys a whole lot of problems, but Ethan Stanley's been smooth, steady, completely throughout this race. And heading towards the final set of corners, another dominant win for driver 91 for Lake Norman Motorsports in the Blue Egg car. It'll be Ethan Stanley taking the win in the SR Designs International Challenge. He led all but 3-4 laps tonight. On a very expected and dominant performance by Ethan Stanley.
Gavel's around.
And Ryan Gable spins it.
Nope, he saved it, but that's going to cost him a couple of spots there.
He will drop back to 10th, will Ryan Gable, on the final results.
Yeah, he was battling there with Fody and
Justin
Tucker.
Wadsworth has crashed as well. He's going to lose a spot to Wadsworth's crashed in the final corner.
Oh no!
A replay of what happened to Wadsworth here is they try to come down to the line. Yep, hit the gravel. He's going to nose it into the barrier. And when Wadsworth jumps back onto the track, he goes right in front of Gable and Gavin Higgins. They ultimately sort things out. Wadsworth will still finish 10th in that 6 car, pick up a good finish. Tyler Fody will come home in 8th. Ryan Gable 9th, Tooker 7th. As the rest of the field finishes their lap here, we swap to Ethan Stanley's celebration. a dominant win. You know, it's the kind of thing we've seen out of Ethan Stanley time and time again. It's a guy that just, I would describe it as he just likes to win. He likes to,
I don't know anybody that doesn't. Like
right, but he's real good at it. He's the kind of guy who can just keep doing it over and over again. And
it's 4 times in a row now on the road courses of the Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series. His 6th overall road course win, which I know you're going to find this hard to believe, David, that's more than anybody else has on the road courses in this series.
Yeah,
and,
impossible to believe.
15 overall for Mr. Stanley.
Yeah, he's rapidly approaching Tyler Fode territory for the all-time wins record in this series.
Only 7 back.
Let's grab our 3rd place finisher while we have a chance and bring him up to the booth. Tate Lytle, you battled Scott Crump pretty hard there for 3rd place by the end of it. Take me through your night. It looked pretty uneventful from your end, but you managed to come home with a good top 5 run.
Are you watching me right now? Do you have me live?
We could.
But get me live right now. Tell me when you got me.
We're on you.
See me doing burnouts out here?
Yeah.
That's because I am the first. I was the first actual human to cross the finish line, so we're gonna count that as a win.
Hey, 17 at 17 different tracks, Tate.
Yeah, 17 wins. It's great. Those two there, they got to be disqualified because there's no way that they're actual real people. So, good win for the 56 car tonight, and me and Crump, we were racing hard there for the win. He got into that carousel a little too hard and kind of gave it to me, but we had a good race for the win, and yeah, we'll take it.
Tate Lytle, the human class winner.
Yep, human class.
Zandvoort.
Yep, got to thank Brett Wednesday's gone by. Couldn't do it without him. Shout out to my dad if he somehow found the link. I know that I forgot to send it to him, so I don't know if he did or not, but shout out to him and the kids love they are.
I've
And,
done him a
yeah.
favor.
Yeah. Can't believe we did it.
Oh, man. Do you have anything to add to that, David?
I do not.
I,
Interview of the season so far, right there, Tate.
that's gotta be really tough to top the rest of the way. We got a long season, but
We're gonna drink beer to that.
But Tate, celebrate your hard-earned
Yes.
human class
Yes.
victory here in the SR Design International Challenge. Take that one back to the shop, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Indy.
Sounds good. Yeah, have fun talking to those 2 aliens. I don't even know why they're here, but I'm glad that we could get the win.
Tate Lytle.
Do we know what language the aliens speak? We might be in trouble here. Did he speak Klingon or what? How's that work?
While we wait for Blake Reynolds to join, go ahead and pull Ethan Stanley to the booth that we can talk to the non-human. What are we, aliens? The alien class winner today.
I don't know.
Ethan, once again, we're here with you in the booth, talking to you after a win, a dominant road course win. Is there anything different about this one, or is this just business as usual for you?
Only thing different is having Blake here. He was pretty quick. Kept me on my toes for most of the run, and felt like if he restarted next to me on the same tires, he could have had a shot. But yeah, just other than that, pretty business as usual. Just try to manage the tires. Try not to wreck, because it was just wrecking loose out there in the bank corners.
So obviously, kind of the one, I won't even say hiccup, but one difference we saw this time, obviously, with the stage caution, and then the cautions that bred cautions there after that restart. What was it, kind of the navigation of that stage of the race and figure out where you need to be from a pit strategy standpoint, and just staying out of trouble there in turn 3 on those restarts?
Oh yeah, those couple of cautions after the stage kind of threw a wrench into it. Had to take fuel, so ended up restarting 3rd at one point. And yeah, it's just in the turn 1 especially, it's just treacherous. Everybody's braking super late, and almost got caught in something with Scott on that final restart there. But Yeah, other than the restarts, just turn 1, turn 3. Yeah, felt pretty good out there by myself.
Yeah, it's always easier to race when you don't have anybody around you. But Ethan, any thoughts ahead? Obviously, this is kind of the same pace you went on last year when it comes to just putting together a lot of wins, banking yourself in as the kind of championship favorite across this longer season. Is there, as we approach the Brickyard going forward, is there any strategy beyond just keeping up these really good runs where you're going to put a lot of pressure on everybody around you to keep pace with such amazing performances?
Yeah, of course I'm gonna keep going for the oval wins. Don't know about Indy. I don't know if I'm really too good there, but we'll see. And
Yeah,
don't really know much.
I'm sure you'll struggle, man.
Well,
You'll
you
be
never know.
you'll be third, and we'll be like, whoa.
But yeah, feeling pretty good this season.
Any shout outs for us here, Ethan, before we send you off?
Yeah, as always, a big shout out to Blue Lake Marketing being the sponsor on the car. JD Designs making all the beautiful paints that I run across all these series. And big shout out to guys at Lake Norman. Always fun group to run with over there. Give them a couple pointers. And big shout out to you guys up in the booth. Always putting on a great show. Always love watching these back. And big shout out to Shay, who I don't know if he's here tonight, but he didn't have to do much. And Chad for running the league, of course.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ethan, and congrats on the win, buddy. We'll probably talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And finally, we're back again with Blake Reynolds. Blake, how was Zandvoort? We talked to you last week. You weren't sure how it was going to be, but you were pretty much second the entire night.
Yeah, that was quite the beast. I've never raced. I've only raced GT3 here, I think. Maybe Formula 4. No, Super Formula Lights. I did one. Other than that, no. I have no heavy car experience here. First off, I forgot what time the races started, so I went on a bike ride. Rode about 12 miles, and then I got home. I'm like, oh crap! I got like 12 minutes to sign up, so I run in here and I'm tired, and this is already made me more tired. I'm drenched. No bueno. Let's just say that, no bueno. So, I had fun though. Once I figured it out, I spun the one time in the bank corner. The setup was bottoming out. I have my like bottoming out and tire noises turned up a little bit to hear them better. And oh my god, any corner with a banking, and you try to like give it some RPM, the rear end would just. So that's what happened there. I gave it probably like 30% throttle in second gear, and it just ground out the diffuser or whatever's back there. So spun out. Then the stage caution happened. I took tires. I don't think Stanley did. Did you ask him that?
He did not. He did not take tires.
Yeah, I took tires. I didn't really know because the lap times fell off pretty bad. I didn't know if it was wear or temp. Turns out it was probably temp. But like I said, took tires. I got held up a little bit there on those restarts. Some people just stayed out that I didn't think should have stayed out. I'll keep it at that. I'll be nice. But it is what it is. I'm new to the league. I'm an open car. I'm just trying to stay clean and represent my partners in Channel 199 and Track Racer and DMW the best I can. And just running out of here. And I was told Stanley was good on the road course. I didn't know he was that good. That dude walked me. I mean, if you look at my Coke stats, I finished top 10 almost 3/4 of the time. So, I mean, who knows what that guy could do.
Yeah, he's what is it, Zach? He's won the last 4 road course races.
4 in a row and 6 overall on the road courses here in the Elite Sport Belly of Sports Cup series. So yeah, he's pretty good at turning right. But you talk about your start to the season as an open competitor. You were able to make your way into the 500, got a top 5 there, and now a couple of podium finishes in a row before we go to Indy in a couple of weeks for the Brickyard. overall, I mean, it's been a pretty good start to the season despite having to deal with being an open competitor. So, how do you feel going into the Brickyard 400 in a couple of weeks?
I'm really good at the Brickyard, so I'm curious what the set and everything will be like. Next gen, I haven't been a big fan of there. You know, it's not quite like the Gen 6 or even the COT was, or any other car. It's just different. And, you know, they just redid the side drafting, I think, this last patch the other day, so we will see what that does. Indy was a big side draft track, because for some reason there's just not a lot of dirty air, so... yeah, I look forward to that. I look forward to going to a track I actually know. Because I had to buy Kentucky, and then I've owned this track, but I never raced here in a cup car, so I'm curious what I can do against the field in a track that I know. And I'm pretty comfortable at Indy, so we will see, and I hope to have a good run there.
Gotcha. Any shout outs for us here, Blake, before we send you off tonight?
You guys are broadcasting. I've watched the last 2 races back. It's been fun to watch back. Belly Up. I'm not sure what that is. I'll be honest. I'll do my research on that. All the okay. The Elite Racing League admins. It's been fun so far. And like my partners, Channel 199 Sim Racing, Track Racer, DMW, and I think that's it.
Awesome. We appreciate it, Blake. We'll look forward to talking to you again, and I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a heavyweight battle, I think, all season long between you, Stanley, and Fody. I'm excited to see what it'll all be about.
I think so too.
We'll catch you next time, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, see y'all.
Well, I think that really sums it up there, those comments from Blake Reynolds. I mean, we can sit here and say as much as we can, and we do, how good Ethan Stanley is at these road courses. But there you have a guy who has competed for a championship in the Coke Series, the highest form of stock car racing here on the iRacing simulator. And he's telling you Ethan Stanley's really good at road course racing. So I've said for a long time that there are guys that run in Elite on a regular basis that if they had the ability, the free time, the whatever the case may be, to dedicate themselves, they could compete at that level. Ethan Stanley is certainly one of those guys, and I think tonight was kind of an example of why I believe that.
Oh yeah, I'm with you there. Those are striking words to hear about a guy that, I mean, we've run with Stanley for years, right, and talked to him a lot and interviewed him and all those things. Like this is a guy we've covered, and you know, we effectively have to gloss over him in a race like this because it's so much of we expect him to go out there and win, right? He went out there and stomped a Coke Pro too. Like that's really impressive, man. And Stanley is he's a really brilliant driver. It's awesome to have him in here, but Dave keeps he's got the schedule cycling. You're going to see his name up there a lot in these races that he runs, and it's going to be fun to cover, and effectively it brings everybody else up. Everybody else is going to have to rise to the challenge to stop Ethan Stanley from winning another 6 or 7 of our 18 races this season like he did last year.
I have bad news, David. He's
good at the Brickyard too?
Oh no, I kept calling it his 6th overall win. It's actually his 7th road course win in the League Cup series.
Sure.
So I got that wrong for the past 15 minutes. But other than that,
it's all good.
Great. We're doing
we
great.
are.
Ethan Stanley, still really good at road courses, no matter how many it's been.
Yeah, the point stands.
Indeed stands.
For the Belly Up Sports Cup series on the Elite Racing Network, that was the SR Design International Challenge. This has been David Huckleberry, David Westergreen, and Zach Evans, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks at the Brickyard. Everybody have a good night.